We begin tonight with our continuing coverage of the death of 8-year-old Genesis Mata. Tonight, more about the little girl and her life, as well as new details on the case. Her battered little body was found in the bathtub of a cheap motel, and her dad and stepmother are charged with torturing and murdering her. 7 other children were taken into protective custody. 17's Connor Dorr has been following this story and files this report.
Yeah, cases like these are especially tragic when you're dealing with juvenile victims and some of the most innocent in our community.
8-year-old Genesis Mata was set to start 2nd grade at Pauley Elementary next week. She loved to dance, her grandmother said at a vigil Sunday night outside of the room where her body was found.
She loved music, she loved everything, she loved people. She was so kind, so polite.
Genesis was found dead in a tub in a locked bathroom Saturday evening. It was a gruesome scene.
But the significant amount of trauma that this child sustained and was subjected to is what led to the charges of torture, with our investigators saying this being one of the most significant cases they've ever seen.
After a long night of investigating, serving multiple search warrants and talking to witnesses at the motel, 31-year-old Ray Mata, Genesis's father, and 27-year-old Graciela Bustamante, her stepmother, were arrested for the murder of Genesis. Mata has a history of drug and gun convictions. He has a child support case filed in August of 2022, ordering him to pay $512 to Bustamante for a child they shared. Mata and Bustamante are charged with 9 felonies, including first-degree murder, torture, mayhem, cruelty, conspiracy, and failure to provide for a child. While we don't know the exact nature of Genesis's injuries, the charges provide a little insight into the trauma she endured. The charge of mayhem is described under California law as conduct that maliciously deprives somebody of a body part, such as disfigurement, or making the body part useless.
Please contact the Bakersfield Police Department if you see signs or there's any suspicions that children are being abused.
Police said that 7 other children were taken into protective custody when they arrested Mata and Bustamante. Bustamante was arrested in Delano and Mata was arrested in Bakersfield. Reporting in Central Bakersfield, Connor Dorr, 17 News.
Now, family of Genesis have launched a GoFundMe to help lay her to rest as they navigate this heartbreaking loss. That page describes Genesis as a beautiful spirit who was full of life and loved anything that sparkled. If you'd like to donate, scan the QR code you see on your screen. You can also find a link to that fundraiser on our website, kget.com.
The National Children's Alliance says more than 500,000 children in the United States are known to be victims of abuse every year, with most of them being victimized by a parent or legal guardian, and it can often have deadly consequences. In 2022, nearly 2,000 children lost their lives to abuse or neglect. And while child abuse can affect children from every background, stats show children from socially marginalized families are more likely to be affected. And here to join us to talk about the signs of child abuse and what you can do to help prevent it is Lauren Skidmore from the Open Door Network. Lauren, welcome. Very heavy matter. I just want to start with the question, can you please tell us what some of the signs are? What signs we should watch for if we suspect a child is being abused?
There's many signs related to abuse, not just child abuse, but abuse in general. You'll notice behavioral elements of the child that may change quickly over time. It can be things such as detachment. Maybe there's going to be outburst in a school setting. Maybe you'll see the child be very cognizant of their activities and their actions. They're always looking at their parents or the caregiver for some type of approval. You'll see physical signs, of course. You might see slight bruising. You might see scarring, scratches. You might notice, hair removal of some type. There's different types of abuse, and of course the most deadly is the silent abuse, which is happening behind closed doors where most people aren't able to witness. It's abuse that happens, inside of the brain over many, many years.
So you just listed multiple signs to watch out for if a child is being neglected or abused. The family of Genesis actually said they suspected she was being abused and they tried to report it, but nothing happened. At that point, what should or could have they done?
You can always contact law enforcement, and I believe Assistant Chief Stratton said in his interview, BPD will do a check the welfare at any point for any family member of any age. Please call law enforcement if you suspect anything. There's always mandated reporters that are available. You can always contact, a school, a church. You can contact our agency, Department of Human Services. The best thing to know is that you are the advocate for the child. And so if you're not getting the response you need, you keep calling, you keep advocating.
Tell us a little bit more about mandated reporters. It's literally what the name sounds like. So who are they and what are they kind of tasked with doing?
Yeah, so mandated reporters can be anyone in the community. You can gain access to this type of training online, but mandated reporters are going to be anyone associated with a child's school. It can be churches. It's going to be agencies like our own, any agency related to child welfare, CASA, Department of Human Services, law enforcement, medical professionals, firefighters. All are mandated reporters.
And once you actually go through the process of reporting child abuse or neglect, what are kind of the steps look like from there in terms of response?
I believe depending on the severity, once you are reporting an abuse, they'll be assigned a case manager and then law enforcement will engage in an investigation. Usually it is a very quick turnaround. In this case, it doesn't sound like that happened, which tells me that law enforcement had not been alerted. Law enforcement usually will engage very quickly.
And Lauren, you work with various victims here in our local community. BPD said this is one of the most significant cases they've ever seen. Is it similar for you?
Yeah, I don't think that our agency has been involved or heard about this type of torture and mayhem to any child in our community. I don't think that anyone will be able to get over this story. And I think that we need to be reminded not to be desensitized of the things that we're seeing amongst our community. It's so easy to just move along with your own life. And I think Genesis, for anything that we want to do to support and remember her with, is to look to your neighbors and look to your friends and do what you can to advocate for children that are in need. We can't be desensitized to these type of issues. And it is in our backyard. It's happening right here in Bakersfield. And children need the support from good people in the community.
We have about a minute left, so last question to you. We brought you on here tonight so you can share those tips and advice for our community members. Anything else we missed? Anything you feel is critical to address in this situation?
Yeah, aside from reporting abuse, if you feel that something is happening, try to get eyes on the child, talk to them, see what their demeanor is like. If you are a family member and you feel like another family member is engaging in abuse, have the conversation. Don't feel like you need to pretend it's not happening or that an anonymous complaint is the only way to move forward. You can engage in that conversation with the family member. Children need that support. The Open Door Network can offer long-standing therapy support for trauma victims. We can always engage in anything from bullying to sexual assault to something as horrific as we're seeing with Genesis, such as torture and abuse.
Lauren Skidmore from the Open Door Network, thank you so much for your time this evening. And no child deserves to suffer from abuse, but they often cannot speak up for themselves. If you suspect a child is being abused or neglected, don't wait, please speak up. Call the Kern County Child Abuse Hotline at 631-6011 or the national hotline at 1-800-540-4000, available 24/7. Support services for child abuse victims, including counseling and emergency services, are also available through Lauren's Open Door Network. They can be reached at 322-9199 from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday.